Where do you rank among other TPT sellers? Do you know? Do you care? If you'd like to know what I think about it and where I rate, then stick around. Hello everyone, my name is Sherry from Rolling Acres Education. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if this is not your first time. And if you are involved in the TPT community at all, you're probably aware of the fact that in January, around the middle of the month, TPT rolled out a new program where we can find out how we rank among other TPT sellers. In this video, I want to tell you some things you should know about that ranking. I want to tell you what I think about it and how we can use it. And then I'm also going to tell you how I ranked on the first two releases. So the first thing that you should know is that if you've been afraid to check it out, check it out. Everyone I've talked to has been not only surprised, but shocked at how high they ranked, including me. So I think that tells us some things right away that we'll talk about in the next segment. But the thing is that if you are working your TPT business at all, you're probably going to be very happy with where you ranked. Number two, this is private. In the past, they had a program where every month, I think it was, they listed the top TPT sellers in the community. Of course, they only listed the top ones, but even, that you may have reasons why you don't want people to know how much money you're making. I don't want my kids to know how much money I'm making because I don't want them to ask me for money. But seriously, this is private. If you don't want anyone to know, don't tell anyone, and no one will know. So this information will not be shared with others unless you share it. Number three, it's for the previous month. It is not cumulative, it's not lifelong, it's not for the year, it's just strictly for the previous month's sales. This is how you did among sellers that, number four, made a sale during December. Your January ranking was how you did among all sellers who made at least one sale during the month of December. That could have been a 25-cent sale, or it could have been millions of dollars worth of sales. Whatever, if a sale was made, then that store was included in the rankings. If it's one of these stores where people open up, never did anything, or they're just getting started, not really making sales, then they were not included. And number five, these are for your total sales and not your earnings. There's been a little bit of confusion about that. I've heard people say different things. I read this over very, very carefully, and my understanding, and I think I'm correct, is this is your sales before TPT takes anything out, commission, transactions, or anything like that. And the reason this is important is because there are people who are on the basic account. Those that are just starting out may have a basic account, and it's possible to have more sales but make less money than someone else. So if someone has the premium account, you may have made the same amount of sales as them, but they may have made more money because they have the premium. And I may have just gotten that all mixed up, but you get my point. So what was my ranking? What did I learn from it? And what do I intend to do about it? Well, when the rankings came out in January, I had made $2,995 in December, basically $3,000. That was the 833rd store, which means 832 stores made more money than I did. And that was the 99th percentile, which means I was in the top 1%, making not even quite $3,000. I think that tells us something right there. The next month, I went down about $700. I made $2,307. That dropped me down to the 98th percentile and the 1,722 store. And that was a drop for about every 81 cents, I think is what I figured out. It was less than $1, which is just kind of a weird thing I figured out. Probably doesn't mean a thing at all, but it just, for every 81 cents less than I made, I dropped a space, if that means anything to you math nerds out there, okay? So what does that tell me? Okay, the first thing it tells me is that I don't think that there's as many people making as much money on TPT as we thought. Now, I'm telling you the top sellers, probably the top 100 or something like that, are bringing in a lot of money. I know people who are making buku's money off of TPT, and so I'm not saying that it's not as good a deal. Actually, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying it's not as saturated as many people thought. I've never thought it was saturated. I've always said it's saturated with people who have gone on, set up a seller's account, and either didn't do anything or did a little bit and quit. But I've always said that when it comes to people who are really, truly working this business, putting the real time and effort into it, it's not saturated. So if you are truly working this business or truly willing to work this business, you can be in the top percent. In December, I was in the top 1% and made $3,000. I was in the top 2% and made just a little over $2,000. So you can be a top seller in TPT by working hard. I fully believe that. If you're really putting in the effort, then you're probably going to be in the top 10%, probably the top 5%, probably the top 2% of sellers, okay? I know one person shared that they were in the 94th percentile, made $300 or something like that. So, I mean, you can be a top TPT seller without making a ton of money. That's the number one thing I learned that applies to all of us. How am I going to use this? Okay, well, my sales went down and my ranking went down. I had my sales gone down and my ranking stayed about the same or maybe even improved or dropped just a tiny bit, I probably would have figured, okay, everybody went down that month. And for instance, June and July, my sales are going to drop. But it's very possible that my rankings are going to stay the same or even go up because teachers don't make a lot of money off teachers pay teachers in June and July. But if you have a month during those school years where you're dropping down, but your ranking's also dropping down, then that probably means that's you and not TPT as a whole. What can you do about it? Well, that's for another video, and I'm going to actually record that video right after this one because I had some insights that I gave myself, some things I told myself that I think will be helpful to you. So go check that ranking if you haven't. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And if you've been kind of, it's saturated, I just don't know if I want to do this, this should show you that it's not. Yes, are there tons and tons and tons, millions of sellers on TPT? Yes. Are there millions of sellers working TPT? No. Okay. Now, I was in the top 1% at an 833rd store, so that tells us a little that there was at least 80-something thousand stores that made sales that month. That's not even 100,000 stores. Now, again, I don't know where I was in the rank, how many others were in that 1 percentile. I would love to know. That would have given us an idea about exactly how many stores. But I just kind of feel like I was towards the bottom of that top 1%, so I'm thinking that there were probably around 100,000 stores that actually made sales during the month. I don't know. But anyway, just remember though, no matter what you're ranking, you've got this, God's got you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.